try to stay close to this. When I came in today, Ms. Robertson, this popped up on the screen. I'm glad it popped up again because I did a print screen because I didn't know if it would come up again. See this? Have you gotten this on your computer? Asking you to upgrade to Windows 10. If you have like Windows 8, Windows 7. No? You haven't noticed anything like this? Or you haven't noticed that maybe in your update cycle it already starts upgrading to Windows 10 whether you ask it to or not? Has anyone noticed this? You sit down at your computer and it's completely different experience. Well, I just think about these things because this is a course on practical reasoning. And before this goes away, more than 110 million people have already upgraded to Windows 10. Okay, is there an argument there? Are they trying to make a statement? What?
It might not be true.
It might not be true. It probably is true. I would assume that Microsoft knows the information of how many people have actually, I mean, it's money involved. You have to know.
Well, they might be just saying that so that you could sign up.
That's true. That's true.
You see, a lot of things bring money.
Yeah. What? Yeah, what were you going to say? Oh. Hello, Mrs. Ferguson. Sorry? Think about that statement. This is a statement on practical or reasoning. Does that statement make reasonable sense? Does it make sense? It's a claim that's being made. Does it make reasonable sense? Ms. Rashed? Maybe? More than 110 million people have already upgraded to Windows 10. Free. Free. Well, think about what I just told you. I mean, Microsoft is kind of forcing people to upgrade. They'll do it silently in the background whether you want it to or not. Let's say you want to stay with Windows 8. You don't want to upgrade to Windows 10. Maybe you've heard there are problems with it. Or you just don't want to. You know, you like Windows 8. I don't know who would. Windows 7 was better than Windows 8. But nevertheless, or say you're still one of those holdouts with Windows XP. Remember Windows XP? You know, which actually was pretty good, still is actually, I think, a pretty good operating system, although they're trying to scare people into saying it's old, so therefore it's full of security holes. Well, if it's full of, well, think of that argument. If it's full of security holes, wasn't it full of security holes when Microsoft put it out? Does that make it a lemon then? Should you get your money back for your computer pre-installed? And also, have people really upgraded when the update system, and you read the tech magazines on this. I find this stuff fascinating to me. I just, you know, the tech gossip like this, you know, like technology gossip and stuff like that. And apparently, you know, Microsoft was kind of like doing these background upgrades, whether you wanted to. You had no option, and it would keep, you know, just keep bugging you. Upgrade to Windows 10, upgrade to Windows 10. And you couldn't get rid of the update because they wanted you to upgrade to Windows 10, whether you liked it or not. So if I tell everyone in the class, you have to buy the textbook for this class, and the publisher says, hey, we got thousands of people buying our textbooks. This must be a really great textbook. They make that argument, which is kind of like what Windows is doing. Microsoft is kind of saying, hey, look, over 100 million people have upgraded. They also, what they don't tell you behind that argument, if you actually dig, this is part of practical reasoning, digging into data, facts, other stuff. If you dig a little bit on the internet, you'll find that Windows 10 is still not in the majority of usage for Windows users. It's still being beaten out by Windows 7 and Windows 8. And then you've got Windows, still you have some Windows Vista. And if I remember correctly, I think Windows XP users are still like hanging around. So it still doesn't have the market share, which is interesting. So you can make an argument, and sometimes the way you phrase an argument sometimes what you include in the argument can be true, but also what you leave out, Mr. Clark. Like you're doing well in this class, provided you pay attention. If I didn't add that little bit, you're all doing well in this class. You're all going to get an A. If you do X, Y, and Z, which some of you are not doing. But that's okay. Coach yells at you because he loves you, or she loves you, depending on who your coach is, male or female. I got to crack the whip, okay, because I want you to do well. I want you all to pass. And not just pass, Mr. Kaiser, but pass with a high grade, as high as you're able to get. As high as you're able to get. I'm looking out for you, Mr. Kaiser. I'm looking. Huh? I got this from another classroom the other day, last week, Monday, I don't remember. Everything's bleeding into everything. All right, well, I guess I will take attendance, because who knows who else is going to show up. Oh, forgot my pen. Ms. Adams. No. Ms. Algarin. Kudos for coming early, Ms. Algarin. Ms. Almonte, Ms. Besora, Mr. Cosme, right? Mr. Cosme. Okay, Ms. Campbell is, no, Ms. Campbell's not here. Ms. Campbell, are you here? I don't think so. Mr. Clark is here. Cosme is here. Dona here. Ms. Edwards. Ferguson, Johnson, Kaiser, Lorenzano, Ms. Louisma. See her here, Ms. Louisa, Mr. Meneses. Oh, there, he's in Hawaii, isn't he? Which of our baseball players are in Hawaii, on Oahu. God bless them. May they be safe. I think it's Montalvo. Okay, it's Montalvo. It's Montez, are you here? Montez? Oh, Ms. Mulvaney, I guess no. Mr. Nafe is in Hawaii as well. Ms. Nelson, Ms. Rashed. Mr. Reeves is, God willing, going to become a lieutenant in the Army. Ms. Robertson is here. Mr. Sanchez, Ms. Simcoe, Ms. Tavares. Ms. Tavares, you and Ms. Besora should not sit so close together because your hair is so... it's nice. Oh, it's okay. There she is, Ms. Louisma.
Hi.
Hi, Ms. Louisma. Hello, Mr. Williams. And, oh, Ms. Venechanos is here, Williams, and Mendoza. Okay. I'll hand back some quizzes. Please remember that Mr. Clark, next Wednesday, Ms. Ferguson, not next Wednesday, next Monday, what's going on? Huh? A major quiz number 2. Did you do your hair? Did you? Yeah, you got your hair cut? Interesting.
You said Monday?
Monday. Next class. Next class. Yes. So, oh yes, check the syllabus. Yes.
The chapters are not following.
Read what chapters should you have read? Classifications and definitions?
6 and 7.
Classifications and definitions? Classifications and definitions?
Yeah, we should have read that. But
Good.
You followed the syllabus, so we should have read 6, 7, 6 and 7 too.
What does 6 and 7 say? Categorical. Propositions.
And, I don't know how to
Syllogisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might change that. Have you read them yet?
No, I started chapter 2.
Yeah, don't worry about them, because I'm going to change the schedule a little bit. Or at least, not the schedule, but certainly the chapters, because
Okay.
I'm feeling less and less like syllogisms are going to work well with our situation. And well, I think I'll mention them, but very briefly. By very briefly, I'll probably talk about them for like 3 weeks.
You don't read chapter 2? No, you're supposed to.
Classifications and definitions.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Weren't those chapters 1 and 2?
Everything since these are not cumulative, so everything since the first major quiz.
So, he's going to get questions from both.
So classification, definition,
Everything.
and everything that's been done in class since the first major quiz. Just like the first quiz we took. There's nothing different. The only thing that's different is that now it's number 2 and not number 1. So if you haven't looked at those chapters, I would suggest that you do. I'm pretty sure I sent out an email asking you to read them by now, or at least have looked at them. I'm pretty sure there's an email floating around out there from me to everyone in the course.
So are things that are going to be on the test, the last test that we took, are going to be on this test?
Well, why would they be?
Because you said it's from chapter 1 in? Yeah.
No, I say it's not cumulative. So whatever I did not ask you on the first quiz, you should expect to be fair game. If I did not ask it on quiz number 1, I'd say it's fair game. Everything we've done since then. Understand what I'm saying?
After?
Since major quiz number 1.
Yeah.
It's fair game. So I told you to read the chapters in classification and definition. We've also done things in class. I've talked. I've given notes. We have another PowerPoint that we're going over. Those will all be fair game for the next quiz. Oh, now it won't go. I have a few more quizzes to return from the first night. Oh, actually, sorry. I do have something to return. For a second there, I was like, I forgot to grade them. No, I graded them. I just had to turn it over and see. Okay, and also Sunday, Mr. Ms. Johnson, what was Sunday? Other than, of course, the Lord's Day and time to go to Mass and church. Huh? It was what? I'm sorry, what? It was what? It was...
Sunday, you said?
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. Wasn't it?
What?
Oh my God.
What? How are those grapes going down? Good? I'm sorry, what day was that, Ms. Lorenzano? What day was it? Really? I know you know, but you're not going to get it from me out here. I think you know, but you're not. It was. What was Sunday? First Sunday in Lent. Good for you. Don't know. I'm sorry? What was it? Third time? Allah. Allah.
St. Valentine's Day.
It is St. Valentine's Day. Low 5. Yes. Saint Valentine's Day. Saint. I don't know what Valentine's Day is, but you know what St. Valentine's Day is? Because it's a feast day in the church honoring a priest of Rome from the 200s AD who died for his faith in Christ. actually two priests in Rome, both St. Valentine, both died in 200. We're not exactly sure which one we're venerating, so they just stuck them both on the same day, you know. St. Valentine's Day. Why do you think that the color for St. Valentine's Day is red? Not because of hearts. It's red because if you went to Mass on St. Valentine's Day, the priest would be wearing a red vestment, red robes, because he was a martyr, a symbol of St. Valentine shedding his blood for Christ. That's why everything is red on St. Valentine's Day. What does it have to do with love? Nothing. It's nothing. Okay? The reason why we connect it with lovers is because there's a story, a legend actually, Mr. Cosme, that St. Valentine gave some money to a couple so that they could get married. They were too poor for the woman to have a dowry. Back then, you know, women had to have money. Well, not women had to have money, but it was kind of like everything's always dumped on the woman, you know. The man didn't have to bring anything to the party, but the woman had to bring, like, you know, money or goats or cows or animals or property or something. Her family had to contribute, kind of like make the man want to marry her. It's kind of a perverse system, in my opinion, and it seems perverse maybe to us, some of you today, but that was how they did it culturally. Well, this woman was too poor, and without a dowry, without this money or property or anything to give to the wedding, she couldn't really get married. So St. Valentine supposedly gave them the money to get married. But this story is associated with a lot of saints, and it's probably not true, probably a legend, because it bounces around to a whole bunch of different saints, so we don't know who it started with. But anyways, it kind of stuck with St. Valentine, so on St. Valentine's Day, people all of a sudden made that into the day for lovers, because he helped these two lovers get married. Okay, and they kept the red color because he was a martyr for Christ. However, they still want to take my money. They want me to buy chocolates. They want me to buy cards. You know, they want me to take somebody out to dinner. They want my money, but they don't want to remember that it's a feast day in honor of a man who died for his faith in Jesus Christ. That they don't seem to want me to remember, and they remove the religious element, the St. Valentine, so we won't think of the religious element. Yes, sir?
So is that the day he died?
It is believed to be the day he died. But sometimes you just have to, you know, it's kind of like, you know, throwing stuff at a dartboard with your eyes closed. You know, all we have are a name, some bones, and that he died for his faith in Christ. That's very minimal information. Very minimal information. So yes, happy St. Valentine's Day. We actually have his relics, his body in Missouri. Some church somehow got some bones. If you want to go venerate him. Ms. Montez.
Sorry.
No, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Can I have this chair?
Ms. Campbell, sorry. And you braided your hair. Very nice. So it is a day of love and chocolates. But I know not everyone can eat chocolates because you might have to go to the hospital if you have some chocolates. So I do have Starburst, which apparently I've checked the bag, so I think legally I'm covered. If you want to try and sue me, because there's nothing saying that it was made in a place with nuts and stuff like that. So just corn oil and sugar and flavoring, baby. So it shouldn't send anyone to the hospital. And I tried to find from. You gotta be kidding. And I tried to find, of course, an appropriate song from Christian heavy metal.
Are you taping this?
Yeah. From a band from Florida, actually. Not bad.
We have one of these.
Not here. Might be in Hawaii as well. Okay. Possible they were played down in Florida. And unfortunately, the lead guys died. Yeah. Actually, he did better by 0.7. You're fine. I'm more agile than I look. You can thank my mom. She helped me grade your test. She's always trying to get me to give you more points.
Can I see some of the questions on site real fast?
I sent out the answers, right?
Yeah.
But I did not send out the test.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll have to send out the test. I'll send out the test and you can compare. Is that Ms. Louise who was asking?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll send out the test so you can see what you got wrong. Because it will, I mean, you are already taking the final exam. The final exam is comprehensive.
Okay, so you're already taking, those questions on that quiz are going to show up again on the final exam. Either in the same or different form. I might change them a little bit just to trick you, but you're already taking portions of the final exam. Yeah, but I don't want you to do well.
You look not nice. You just gave it to me.
Wait a second, I recorded. No.
4 or 5.
I want every student to do well and to pass, Miss Louisma.
Well, I could never hear those videos online on YouTube.
No, I have to trick you. I mean, I'm giving you multiple choice. I'm trying to trick you. It's meant to be hard. It's meant to make you think. It might make some of you pause when you're picking up your cell phones or having them in front of you, and you might think, you know what, I can put this away for 45 minutes to an hour and maybe listen, because I know there's going to be a major quiz down the line, and he's going to give me some hard choices. No? Okay. All right. I don't have to play fair. If you're not going to play fair, I won't play fair. Da 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 da. Ba 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 ba. Do 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 do. Yeah, I think I got concrete. I think I remember mentioning that picture of the cat. I love cats. Cats are just so cool. Cats just don't care, you know. You know, if you want a friend, you get a dog, you know. But if you want something that's just not gonna like have any respect for you as a human being, you get a cat. You know? Unless the cat wants something, then you're like the best friend. But anyways, or the litter box is full, you know. Concrete. Yeah, I know there. We're talking about concepts. Okay. Sure. Yep. Concrete. So we have two types of concepts: concrete and abstract. And here I think the textbook is a little bit confusing, and I say that only because it confused me, which, you know, doesn't take much to confuse me. But nevertheless, if I found Kelly's writing confusing about this, then I think it might confuse some of you. So hopefully I can shed some light on it. Concept, something you conceive in your mind to describe something. Well, it could be real, concrete, specific, like a cat. We're talking about cats, okay? And the only reason that, you know, some of you smiled, maybe some of you thought to yourselves, I hate cats or whatever, but the only reason you could do that is because you had some experience of the concept. Okay, the idea you had in your mind that you were thinking of was from, and had experience of, was concrete. It was specific. It was specific. It wasn't abstract. Okay, it wasn't abstraction. Okay, like I was talking about cats, but in my mind I really meant the abstract cat, like, you know, which could include lions and domestic cats and bobcats and pumas and panthers and jaguars. You know, unless I tell you that, you don't know, huh? Yeah, catfish. Wrong genus, sir. See, that does not fit into our definition or classification of cat. Why, Mr. Williams? Okay, it's a fish, so it does not include the specificity of a cat. Okay. I do understand, but now I'm turning it into a teaching moment. Why is a catfish called a catfish? Okay, what part of the definition, the specificity of a cat, made a person think, hey, that looks like a cat? Yeah, the whiskers, even though they're not whiskers on a catfish, but they look like whiskers, right? Yes? So people said catfish. Okay? They took something from the definition, even though it's not correct. They're not of the same genus. They're not even of the same kingdom of, well, no, I shouldn't say that, because they are, in biology, they would be part of vertebrates. There would be animals, which is the kingdom, vertebrates, which is the phylum, I think, but we'll get to that later. So concresco, concresse. Concresco, in Latin, you usually start out with the first person singular. I harden, concresse, to harden is the infinitive. What is it in Spanish? Concrescar? Concrescar? Concrescar?
Concrete.
Yeah, to harden something. Huh? But if I want to harden in Spanish.
Endurecer.
Endurecer. There's nothing with con in it. Concresar. I know concrete, concreto, but the verb, not the thing, the noun, concrete. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yes, I want to, if I, let's say you're cooking something, and they say harden the butter. Endurece. There's no synonymous word that begins with con at all. We got to do some research. I'm not saying you're wrong. You are right. You're right. But I want to see if there's a synonym from the Latin. Actually. English to Spanish. Nope. Spanish. No, I do want English to Spanish. Do this. Okay, harden. Let's see what we get. Okay. Endurecerse. Okay, good. Endurecer. Acostumbrar. Let's see here. Curtirse. Nope. I don't see anything from the Latin. Interesting. I wonder. Let's try Spanish to English. Conocer, concorde, concreto, good. See if it tells us which verb it comes from. Concretos.
Verbal.
Ah, there we go. Concretar. Okay. Okay. Concretar. To sum up, to summarize, to set or fix, to firm up. Okay. Okay, but it comes from concretar, and concreto comes from this verb concresco, concresse, concrevi, concretum. So you see that concreto comes from concretum in Latin. Back to the slideshow. Okay, so we're talking about hard. This idea of hardness, specificity. Okay. What are we talking about? So we talked about something concrete. We're talking about usually a single specific object, or at least a limited experience. So I mentioned love. There are different varieties of love, but still love. I'm not talking, it's specific. I'm not talking about hate. I'm not talking about fear. I'm not talking about gladness. These are other emotions we might experience. It is an emotion. An emotion, a part of our mind, which also, since we're in bodily form, has the bodily effects as well. Might affect your heart rate, might affect the way you speak. If you stutter around a pretty girl or a pretty guy or a handsome man, or, you ramble on or whatever. Or you just stare. You ogle like some kind of creeper, So we're talking here not just about an object, a cat, but also a limited experience like love. Even though love can be different things. You can talk about familial love, erotic love, patriotic love, love for your country, benevolent love, like giving to the poor, you know, love you, my friendship, love, friendly love you have for a friend, etc. and so forth. So it doesn't, and this is from Kelly in the book, as Kelly says, concrete does not always mean physical or tangible. The word tangible comes from the Latin word tango, tangere, tatigi, tactum.
You said it does not mean.
Okay, if I say something is tactile, Mr. Kaiser, what do I mean? Thank you, Mrs. Kaiser. I'm talking to His Augustness, the Kaiser. If I say something is tactile, how are you going to study? What? How are you going to study for anything? You're going to get it. How? Okay. What is this, high school? You get like your girlfriend or somebody or some other buddy, hey, send me the notes, you know? Okay. Mr. Kaiser, you could study if you love. Take that. I don't know. But, you know, 50 bucks goes a lot the wrong way. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That would be wrong, sir. That would be wrong. It's not an ethics course, but that would be unethical. So, Ms. Dona.
What was the other word?
Too late, Mr. Cosme. Ms. Dona. Ms. Dona. Something is tactile. What does that mean? If I ask you to use your tactile sense. Well, you do use your tactile senses all the time when you're playing baseball. Don't you?
Yeah.
How so? Give me an example of using your tactility in baseball. You can look it up on your phone if you want. Now you're okay. Now you don't want to use the phone. Use the phone to look it up on an online dictionary. What's wrong? What's wrong with that? Mr. Clark. Go ahead, sir. Tell me what tactile is, please. A sense of touch, coming from the Latin, tango, tangere, tatigi, tactum. A lot of our adjectives from Latin are taken from the past participle form, which is tactum, concretum, etc. and so forth. Anyone like to dance? Anyone like to learn to dance? Go ahead. Yes? Huh? You like the samba? What's the samba, sir? Why don't you take your jacket off? Stay for a while. Relax.
I don't feel good.
You don't feel well. What's wrong?
I have a headache.
You like to dance? Who do you like to dance?
My roommate is Hispanic, so we dance like the salsa.
The bachata?
Salsa.
The shaka?
Salsa.
Oh, the bachata.
Bachata.
Oh, bachata. What is it?
From DR.
Google it.
What? Google it?
Google it.
Oh, Google it.
You want to dance the bachata for me? You know how to spell it, so you know how to spell it.
No, I'm just educated. Which I'm trying to pass on. Because you're paying me. But it's all good. I love you all. Okay, what is bachata? Alright, let's see. Oh, is this that?
What is bachata? Wow, beautiful dance from the Dominican Republic. Bachata is dated back to the early 20th century. It's derived from the bolero, which is from Cuba, imported to the Dominican Republic. Very similar.
Why did it take over the computer? It's like I can't do anything with it. Can't turn it off, can't make it bigger. Give me 1 second here. What was that? Huh? Doo-doo-doo-doo. Let's try this again. Could be the ad blocker I put on. Let's try this. That's probably the ad blocker I put on. Pause, play, okay. Alright, well, I want to take this off because it's screwing up the playing of the bachata. There you go.
Bachata on the quiz.
You can't remember that?
You never know.
What are you going to do?
They had the guira. So the music is very similar, bro, and it became,
Stop talking.
There are other ones over there.
reflects kind of like how we let out the steam. How do we cope with it?
Alright. Oh, these people.
I'm going to demonstrate the hips for the ladies.
5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, tap. 5, 6, 7, tap. So the same thing. Here, figure 8 for the hips, and on the top, we lift our hip up.
1, 2, 3, tap. And let's try it now from the back side. 5, 6, 7, tap. 1, 2, 3, tap. 5, 6, 7, tap.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, tap. Gentlemen, make sure you're moving your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, tap. 5, 6, 7, tap. And ladies,
Make
Let's see What is this? The tango. Why is it called the tango?
You're touching all people.
Because in the tango, you can never not touch each other. You have to be as close as possible. You always have to hold hands and touch. Tango! Tango! You get it? Ms. Montalvo, why is it called the tango? I just rhymed. The poetry just flows for me, I'm sorry. Forget about Eminem. I mean, the poetry is in me. I didn't have to do no 8 Mile. I did Sussex County NJ. Ms. Montalvo, what does tango mean?
Well, you have to touch, and tactile means sense of touch. Therefore, Tango.
That's where they got the name from. And what's the word for touch in Spanish, Ms. Algarra? Tocar. Tocar.
And that's a take.
It doesn't sound right, though. Doesn't sound right. Huh?
That's not the specific.
Well, some are, but no, this is touch. Don't listen. I'll take care of it. I'll handle Karut. You. Okay, so tactile. So it doesn't have to be tangible, able to be touched. Okay? And it doesn't have to be a physical object. It can be something conceptual or non-physical, like an idea. He's using this in a philosophical manner of speaking. And concrete really just equals specific for him. Do I have this on the PowerPoint slide? Maybe. Concrete just means specific. So when he uses the word concrete in the chapter, just substitute the word specific, and it will make some of his statements more intelligible, able to be understood. When he uses abstract, he means it in the, I won't say, oh, whoops. He means it in the opposite sense of something that's non-specific.
Like student, please.
General. Yes. Student would be abstract. You, Ms. Louisma, would be concrete. You would be concrete. You would be not an abstraction, but concrete. Although sometimes, in using the word abstraction, you use it to mean to take something out of and to make it more specific in philosophy, which is why I was somewhat getting a little bit confused in how he was using it. But he means abstract in a general sense. Anything general. So abstract, something disassociated from a generalized form of concept or experience. So student, is an abstraction, but, it's not, there's nothing specific about what is a Felician college or Felician university student. To the person, I don't know, person who always gets good grades, takes notes, follows the Franciscan values of the university, blah, blah, blah. If you read the student handbook and the catalog, they probably give you an ideal picture of what the administration would like a Felician University student to be. But if I actually, ran down and tackled a concrete Felician student, here we go. We got a concrete Felician student, not paying attention, looking at her cell phone. The notes look relatively minimal.
No, it's not.
Actually, okay, good. Sorry about that. So the notes, you're fine. But if I took the concretion of a Felician University student, then maybe it would be different. That's still not saying it's bad. It's just taking what is the reality, what's the specifics, the specifics. I'm not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent. Okay, I'm not making judgments on that. I'm making a little joke, but whatever. But I'm just getting to a specific instance of, okay, but how actually are students, like politicians? You have the abstraction of a politician. What is a politician supposed to be like? Okay. But how is a politician, how does the person actually act? Get to the specificity. And you judge a politician sometimes according to that abstraction. You take someone, I don't know, well, our governor, Chris Christie, who was running for president recently, now was dropped out of the race. Huh? Huh? What? Did you say something? No. Anywho, apparently, because he kind of bombed in Iowa, and then he bombed in New Hampshire in primaries, Republican primaries, he didn't do very well. Came in like, I forgot, Iowa, like 5th or 6th out of the candidates. He wasn't the bottom, but he was near the bottom. Maybe just one up from the bottom. In New Hampshire, I think he was the bottom, so he decided to pull out of his presidential bid, or at least, to be the candidate for the Republicans. Why? People had a concept of politician or president, what he was running for ultimately, that apparently in the specificity, the concreteness of Governor Chris Christie from New Jersey, they didn't find. And so people didn't vote for him. Some people did, some people didn't. And later, not now, in a few weeks, we're going to watch parts of the, why can't you just hold on to that and throw it out later? God bless you. We're going to watch parts of the Republican debate, one of the debates, for another purpose, but, one thing you might notice when we do watch it, or if you has anyone watched one or two of the debates, Democratic or Republican? Huh? Which did you watch? Huh?
Democratic debate.
You watched all of them?
I tried going on the highlights.
Okay. So you watched the highlights between Hillary and Bernie, and they had other people go before, like O'Malley. Who do you like? I'm just asking, I'm just curious. You don't have to tell me.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Just like to learn.
Yeah. It would be nice to have some information about the candidates before you vote for them. Be the, the leader of the country, the head of state, commander-in-chief. We've got at least one student in class who could be sent to war. You did serve in the military, but hopefully, can they still call you up if they need you?
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Another that could be going to, I don't know, Syria, who knows? I hope you like hummus. Sorry. Sorry. Well, the decisions aren't funny. But that's something you gotta take into consideration for the man or woman you're voting for. Is this person gonna send someone off to possibly die, possibly get injured in a war or something? That's a decision the president might have to make. Do you trust Chris Christie to make that decision? Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Jeb Bush, all the others, But when they're out there talking in the debates, they're presenting themselves as, this is why I should be president, yes? They're taking the they're taking the abstract president and then concretizing it, making it concrete. I fit the bill, either fully or mostly. So you go from concrete president, you go from abstract president to concrete Hillary Clinton. Or whoever,
Who do you
whoever.
like?
Huh?
Who do you like?
Me. I always vote for me. Because I know what I might do. I don't know what another person might do. But I have a pretty good sense of what I'm capable of, good and bad. So I always write myself in for president, or senator, or whatever. So abstraction. It's my right as a U.S. citizen. Don't you have, when you go in the voting booth, you write it. You can write it whoever you want.
When you register to vote, you write yourself?
Yeah. Matthew W. I don't. I vote for myself. Costs me nothing. My campaign is $0. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a Catholic president or a Catholic senator.
How do you do that?
Huh?
How do you do that? I forgot what it was.
That shows you on the thing that you can write in names, other names.
I didn't know that that option.
Anyway. So abstract comes from the combination of two Latin words, abstraho. Ab means away from, okay, so to take away from. Traho, traer, to take away from, to draw away, to pull away, okay, is also, there's synonymous meanings. I'm trying to think of English words where other than abstraction, where we use ab. Well, abscess, but in medicine, an abscess. What is an abscess? Come on, nerds. Okay, an abscess. So there's a
I'm sorry, I see it all the time. No, I'm a dental.
Oh, you're a dental assistant? So an abscess in a tooth or in a gum. What's an abscess?
It's pus inside the gum.
Pus and what?
It's inside the gum.
It's inside the gum?
Mm-hmm. It's an infection inside the gum.
Okay. What are you saying here?
About
Yeah, what are you saying?
the skin.
How do you know?
Because it goes into your bloodstream. Makes it sticky.
I'm just asking, how do you have knowledge of it? What's that? I'm just curious.
I know, I've just heard about that.
See, now, if you were quick on your feet, you would have said, well, I'm educated this stuff. And you would have slapped me down. But we did it. Anyway. Okay. So an abstraction, something taken away from. Now, this is where it can be confusing, because an abstraction here is you're taking any specific instance of a person, an object, an action, an idea, or you're expressing a quality apart from a thing. Okay? That's where it can be confusing, because you can take my example of love. You can abstract love, the idea of love, and just deal with it in abstraction. And when philosophers do that, what they mean is they're dealing with this concept of love apart from anything else, any other ideas. They're just focusing on what is love, what is the feeling of love, is it a feeling, what is the idea that comes to me of love, all these things. And some philosophers also call it epoche, but that's neither here nor there. And this is where I thought Kelly was starting to confuse me until I realized that he means abstract, just generalized, non-specific. Okay? So when is a concept abstract? A concept is abstract when it's referring to a number of things. A number of things, not just one thing. However, are there not concepts that just refer to one thing, like love and truth? You know, we don't talk about loves. Well, you could say that, I guess. It's conceivable in the English language. You could say, well, I have many loves. I love my mother, I love my country, I love my God, I love certain types of food. Okay, fine. But you can talk about concepts, I think, that speak only of a single reality, that are not groups. We don't think of love as a group of things, or truth as a group of things. Whereas when you talk about human or an animal, you do kind of have that sense of, you're not just talking about one human. You know, some philosophers do. Like I mentioned Plato before, our friend buddy Plato and Socrates. And Plato kind of had that idea that there were, that there was beyond the physical world an eternal world of ideas. And there was this idea of the perfect human, or of horse. I remember one of my professors, I did study abroad in Ireland for a year, which was kind of fun. But I remember one of my professors kind of joked about, you know, I wonder what Plato would think about the ideal form of, I don't know, a pint of Guinness. Something, you know, is there an ideal form of a pint of beer? Only an Irishman can, I guess, think that way. But I thought it was humorous. I just share it with you.
gift of humor. Hopefully that aids in your learning. No. Okay. But anyways, I'm not a Platonist, okay, so I don't really believe that there is an ideal form of just human. And of course, that ideal form of Plato would have been male. No offense, ladies, but that's just how they thought back then. It would have been male. And, you know, female would be related to that. But yeah, human is a group, apple, you know, fruit. You should think of groups of things, you know. These are, I'm talking about concepts, abstract concepts that are not necessarily referring to a group of objects, as Kelly says. Some of them do. I mean, if you talk about, as I said, fruit, that's an abstract concept. Which fruit do you mean? If it leads you to the question of, well, what are you talking about? Which do you mean? Then you probably are dealing with an abstraction. And you're trying to move to the concrete. Well, what do you mean? Alci? Remember when Alci was like, you know, an Alci yogurt, Alci juice, or Alci? It was, I don't know, it was some kind of French name for some South American or Caribbean fruit. I don't know what it was, but it tasted good. It tasted good in my yogurt. I liked it. Black cherry juice. Oh, sorry, I say don't spray it if you're done. Black cherry juice. You know, my mom was on this tear about, we had like 50 million bottles of black cherry juice in the fridge because apparently it had antioxidants or something to do with heart rate or I don't know, something. Remember when that was a fad? Very brief fad, apparently. What are you supposed to eat now for antioxidants? I don't know. What's the faddish food to eat now? I think.
Fried chicken.
Yeah, fried chicken. Fried chicken's always good, sir. I don't know, vegan and vegetarian stuff is out there. My coffee has coconut milk in it because it's Wednesday and I'm trying to avoid dairy because it's a great fast. And on Eastern Christianity, on Wednesdays and Fridays, they try to abstain from meat and dairy. So I am trying to avoid dairy. Although I did have a go-kart from McDonald's, so I guess I blew that one to hell. Sorry, Lord. But I did, you know, I had the coconut milk, so I put the coconut milk in. Organic. People are trying to eat everything like organic now. You know, you go to Stop and Shop has never had organic anything. You know, and now everything's got to be organic, you know. No pesticides, no nothing. Which I totally appreciate. I would like to eat real food, but I always wonder why the milk I'm buying that's organic, which they're not paying to use hormones, pump hormones into the cattle, they're not paying to use pesticides or whatever on the grain that they're feeding it, and yet it's like double the price. You know, aren't they not using, isn't it taking stuff out of what they're not doing? Anyway. Well, the Great Grammar Book. What is that, sir?
Just using it to press on.
Well, where did you get this, sir? Do you mind if I look at this? May I look at this? Thank you. Where did you get this from, sir?
The book of
Why?
I needed it for class.
For which class?
English.
This gives me hope. This gives me hope, sir. Anyone else have to get this? No one else? Not yet? Should I have a grammar book. Ms. Dona, I have a grammar book, I have a thesaurus, I have a dictionary. I look at these things all the time, and I've got a PhD. I look this stuff up all the time, because I forget, or I don't know. I don't know. I venerate you, sir. I venerate you. Never stop. Never stop. You too, Ms. Johnson. God bless you. All righty. Where was I?
Oh yeah, fast food. Oh yeah, concrete fruit. So which kind of fruit do you mean? Okay, if you're asking yourself that question, which is it? That might be something to bring out on the major quiz, you know, so it maybe help see if you understand the difference between, is he talking about an abstraction, or is he talking about a specific thing, you know? Okay, if you're asking yourself which is it, then, you know, you're probably dealing with an abstraction. Yeah, it will be a strawberry. But if I just say fruit, I just thought of a great, of a dirty joke. I shouldn't say that. It's not dirty, but it's offensive. Anyways, however, I know this from philosophy because I did major in philosophy, so, you know, hence I'm teaching a philosophy course, so I do know something about philosophy. The word abstract can be used sometimes verbally as a verb to mean, to take out and consider from a specific instance. See, Kelly uses it in a broad sense of abstraction, generality. However, philosophers do talk about, and I've kind of talked about this already, do talk about abstracting from a generality. I mean, it can be a little bit confusing, but if you know that the word has this base root meaning of to draw or pull away from, abstraho, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Because if you're drawing away from the specific instances, then it's an abstraction, an overarching generality, okay, as if I make an abstraction of humanity. Humanity, then you've got your specifics. But also, and you can maybe see this in my hand movements, do you imagine when our ancestors were like in the jungles, you know, talking to each other, trying to explain like and then the first one that gets it is like, you know, the Lord is like up in heaven waiting, you know, and one of them like, ding, his little thing goes up, yeah, that makes sense to me. And the Lord's like, I can work with that guy, you know. I'll call him Adam. Now I just got to find him a woman. Make more of these intelligent creatures. Have sex. Make more of you. What? What, Mr. Clark?
That was a crazy theory.
Hey, that is actually my theory of what happened. I know it probably doesn't pass the Darwin test, but, you know, I think that the first primate that was able to figure out 2 + 2 = 4, or 1 + 1 = 2, you know, I think God was like, that's the dude I can work with. And put his efforts into that guy, you know, and finding him a female so he can make more of them, you know. You know, the great philosopher Bertrand Russell, who was also an atheist, unfortunately, many rest in peace. I say unfortunate because I'm not an atheist. He was perfectly happy being an atheist. But he wrote one of his classic works, Bertrand Russell, was Principia Mathematica, the Principles of Mathematics. And he spent like 400 pages, the first like 400, maybe I'm overstating it. It was at least 200 pages, but it was, I think it was 400 pages, proving Mr. Kaiser's that 1 + 1 = 2. His proof. You know, in mathematics, sometimes you do proofs. You do this in algebra. I remember learning about it in algebra.
You have to plug back in to work correctly.
No. No. You're not. Go. What are you talking about?
In the problem, you said algebra. You said in algebra.
In algebra?
Yes, I said plug the answers back in.
Oh, okay, yeah, you do a proof.
And you said, oh, what are you talking about?
Okay, but his proof took hundreds and hundreds of pages just to show 1 + 1 = 2. And that was in the last century. No one had ever done that before. You know, mathematicians just took it for or granted. It was obvious. But no one had ever actually worked through the proof in mathematics to show it until Russell did it in Principia. The title's in Latin, but it's all written in English, so don't worry if you ever want to look it up and see if I'm right. Abstraction. So we can actually, it's the same idea that you can abstract. So let's say I want to abstract humanity in a sense from humanity. What is humanity? As opposed to the abstraction of humanity that we all know, that's a general concept, and it has specific examples of humanity, male and female, so on and so forth. And, of course, if you go back in history, of Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons, that are related to us who have died out. But I might just want to abstract the whole concept of humanity from even the specific examples. What is it to be human? And try and find something that cuts across all the specificities, whether you're black or white or Asian. Okay, we're all human beings, but what does that mean to be human? We all fit under the concept human, but I, as a philosopher, want to abstract. I want to draw away from even the specific examples to maybe think about, just speculate about what it means to be human. I say this because, you might encounter this usage of the word abstraction in philosophy, and it's not really here it's not being used in the sense of talking generally. You are using the general concept, the abstraction of human, but you do want to find some specific traits that differentiate, say, a human, or get back to my example of fruit. What makes a fruit from something else? So in that meaning of abstract, the meaning is actually the opposite of what Kelly means. It's less general and trying to be more specific about what the concept means. In this type of philosophy, where you use abstraction, or abstract something, you're trying to, the idea just fluttered away from my head. Get it back. You're trying to find, well, it's gone. So let's, for example, if I were to abstract the idea of patriotic or sexual love, patriotic love, benevolent love from love in general, in a sense, I am making an abstraction of the abstraction. Also, one final thing before we go. Kelly is not using the word abstract to mean that you cannot know anything. Sometimes the word abstract, this is good stuff. It's going to show up. What is it? This is the final thing before we end. It doesn't mean we're ended. All right. Would you close your book? You're not taking any more notes. Some people might think when you say abstract, it means like, oh, you really can't know anything about it. It's just an abstract thing. It's like amorphous, shapeless. But that's not how Kelly is using it. He doesn't mean that it's something that you can't understand or know. He also doesn't mean that it's something necessarily that's only in the mind. There really are cats. It's not something you're just making up. When you see enough felines or domesticated cats running around, and you see them as a group, you know that there's something about this group, even in their specificity, but in their generality, that is different from lions and tigers and panthers. There's just something different. And you can see that there are groups here, and yet there's a bigger group that seems to unite them because there are common characteristics even amongst these creatures. But that are not common, say, to me as a human. Even though there are some things that are common, like a cat and I both have a heart. We both have lungs and intestines. And he also doesn't mean that abstract is unreal, that it's not real. Because even though you can talk about abstractions like truth, justice, the American way, you can also talk specifically about real things that do exist, like real physical animals that you can inspect and look at and experience.
So a concept only becomes abstract as opposed to concrete if it's meant to include all of the species in a broad category. So if it's a genus, basically, if it's meant to include all the species in a broad category, that's when a concept becomes abstract as opposed to concrete. That is a major difference or distinction, which will show up on quiz number 2. So I hope you got it. Otherwise, listen. God bless you all. Have a good week. Thank you. Thank you. I will go.